Everybody wants to be on top of the mountain. The problem nowadays is people want to get dropped off at the top of the hill and look down.
It's that I overcome mindset that makes all the difference.
See, the way we're taught is you're going to claw, you're going to scratch, you're going to bite, you're going to dig, you're going to do whatever it takes to get to the top of that mountain.
That unequivocally is how I have managed to keep myself moving forward and finding success.
2 SEALs, 1 mission. The Overcome and Conquer Show.
And welcome back to the Overcome and Conquer show. We have been crushing it out there with Overcome and Conquer. We've been laying it down. Ever since you talked about sucking Chris Pratt off, dude, people cannot stop reaching out to us.
Chris Pratt's actually reached out to me. We got a dinner date coming up soon.
Well, I did notice that selfie you took with him, and I will admit I was a little jealous. I mean, those moments when we cuddled in buds together on those long, cold Hell Week nights, I thought they meant something, Ray.
He's a fantastic lover.
He's a good kisser, I hear.
Yeah. Nothing but respect, Mr. Pratt. We love you. We love you.
Hey, you are a patriot. You keep wearing that Don't Tread on Me shirt, brother. I will do the same.
We support you 1,000%.
So, all right, guys. Well, we have had some amazing guests, and this show...
Yeah.
This show is going to be a little tougher. It's a little bit of public service announcement.
Hits home.
It does, and it's really important. I want to get this message out there to all our veterans, our teammates, our friends, those who have experienced the clash of steel and the sting of battle.
Yeah, I think it's time.
So, about a month ago, I attended the funeral for a good friend of mine. We buried him up in Arlington on August 19th. And great dude. He was EOD warrior, 26 years with, he was a bomb tech. For those who don't know what EOD is, it stands for Explosive Ordnance Disposalman. He was a Navy bomb tech, special operations, ran with the SEAL teams.
Squared the fuck away.
Yeah. And our EOD guys, I mean, we train them to where literally they're right next to us in the stack. I mean, we teach them, although I will admit that I often had to tell our EOD guys, hey, get to the back of the train. And they would get mad at me. And I'm like, listen, man, I said, no offense. I said, if you in the flow end up being up near the front, then so be it. But I was like, I need you not to be shot. I need you to defuse bombs.
Yeah.
Know
your purpose.
Yeah.
I mean,
so they would get mad at me.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, back of the train.
That's right. Take the cheap seats.
But Ron was just he was an amazing guy. And he basically went through his entire career and just slayed it, man. He was doing great. He experienced quite a few blast injuries. He experienced a trauma on one of his missions, traumatic brain injury. And eventually he ended up getting out. He retired with 26 years. But I tell you what, Ron had another amazing passion, and that was skydiving. He was a member of the Navy's skydiving team, the Leapfrogs. And they do, for any of you out there that have seen the SEALs jump into events, they do it all across the country at major events, the Army, Navy games, stuff like that. And Ron jumped in with those guys. A lot of people don't know it's not only just SEALs. We actually have other...
it's changed over the time.
It has. It used to only be SEALs.
But I actually tried out for the Leapfrogs. I actually was told that I have a record for being on the Leapfrogs, the shortest of all people in history.
Do you think that was discrimination? Because I hear, you and I both being members of the Smurf crew, we hear short a lot.
No, it's because when I did my jump, there was a guy... we'll call him JC.
There was a guy
named JC Ledbetter. I'll fucking call you. I don't care. You were a boat guy, whatever. And he wasn't a big fan of mine. But anyway, I'm drinking with Turbo, Lash, and a bunch of guys. These are fucking pipe hitters from the SEAL Teams guys.
Oh, yeah.
SEAL Team 6. And long story short, I had a few too many cocktails. They asked me how it went. I told them that I got a bunch of negative, AAR after action report from this guy. They asked me to see it. So I still had it in my car. So I showed it to them. Lots to drink, and I just pretty much, Turbo said, hey, can I borrow your phone? And I said, sure. And all he did back in the day, this is pre-iPhones. He just hit last call, and he asked to speak to JC Ledbetter, and he actually, I think, was speaking to Gus Kaminsky, very good friend of...
Oh, I know Gus.
Yeah, Gus.
I went through buds with... Oh, we went through buds with Gus.
Thanks. We went through buds together.
I got a funny story about Gus. I can tell it after this.
And we'll do that, but long story short, I guess the gist of it was the Leapfrogs sucked balls. They're not real SEALs. They're this, that. I had no clue. So this was like on a Friday. Monday, I personally called Gus. I have Gus's number. Gus has passed, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, Ray, about that phone call. And I'm like, what phone call? So literally, I guess there were threats being made and a lot of things that weren't happening. If a lot of people don't understand, but when I checked into the teams, I actually had to get held 6 months from retrieving my trident. There was this bar fight that involved me and a bottle and the police commissioner's son's Norfolk underage. And literally, long story short, a bunch of SEAL Team 6 guys, Dev Group, boom, love you all, made a comment to the Leapfrogs on my behalf without me knowing. And I was told that I was picked up and taken off within minutes. So I hold the record for that, so I'm pretty proud of that. But you know what? If that didn't happen, I wouldn't have met my beautiful wife. So let's go on. But I need
So basically, you were on the Leapfrogs without ever making a demonstration jump.
I did the triad. I had a run. I was in the best shape of my life. I literally ran 1.5 miles in I think it was like 9:01, which is good for me. I'm short, little legs. And then I had to get up and sing in front of 20 women, the national anthem, which, we put the jumpsuit on, man. I have no shame. I can't sing for shit, but, I sang for those ladies. Oh, I laid into it, and I got picked up, I heard, but then kicked off. Everything happens for a reason.
Everything happens for a reason.
But I want to keep it light before we get serious, so lay into it.
I got a funny story.
Oh, tell me about Gus.
About Gus Kaminsky. So went through buds with Gus, and Gus was a great.
We went through buds with Gus.
We went through buds with Gus.
Thank
Gus
you.
was an amazing American. I don't know if you were with me when this happened, though. This was it was post Hell Week. We were still in the class, but I don't know. You may remember this. So after Hell Week, everyone is absolutely hydrophobic, and basically, and not homophobic, but hydrophobic. You are scared of the water because you literally spent the last week freezing your ass off. So, and what they do is they do a easier week, and you're doing hydro recons during that week. You're going through training, learning how to map out beaches, and you're not doing a lot of physical activity because your body literally has to recover. It has just been beat to hell. And so we were getting ready to do, I think, our first hydro recon. And they did a rubber check, which basically means they checked to see if anybody was wearing cheater tops or anything underneath the crappy wetsuit tops that they give you out at Buds that have holes and don't fit right.
Now, see, I thought you meant wearing rubbers to keep your cock warm, but go ahead.
No, Ray, no.
I must have been in a different Buds class.
Yeah, that was a different class.
Okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
So that was the class that was up in LA filming at that time.
Gotcha.
So... But so they're going down the line and they're checking, and there must be 25 of us that get busted, and I'm one of them. I had gone out and bought a cheater top because I was so I was just super hydrophobic, man. I just froze my ass off. So, but Gus Kaminsky was the most senior man that got busted also. So we did the hydro recon all night. Sun's rising. We got to go. We draw all our charts. And then by this time, it's about 11 a.m. And they cut the class away. They say, okay, you guys are done. You can go to bed. Hey, all you cheaters, you are done. We're going to hammer you till somebody quits. And class 201 was going through, they were doing surf passage that day. And they said, all you assholes, and we were brown shirts. They were like, take those brown shirts off, put a white shirt back on. You were going out and doing surf passage right now. So we did surf passage for a while. And then finally they called us back in, and it turned into a contest as to who could come up with the most fucked up thing that we would have to do. Dude, we were doing stuff like we had to go get our masks. We had to fill our masks up with seawater, and we had to hang upside down on the pull-up bars with someone holding our feet while we did sit-ups with a mask full of salt water. They were throwing sand in our faces while we did it. So it just turned into who could think up the most jacked up punishment. So finally they, now this has been going on. It's like 3 or 4 in the afternoon at this point. So finally they're like, Mr. Kaminsky, we are losing track of what we've done, and we need to come up with like the most screwed up thing we can do to you guys. And Kaminsky goes, well, we got in trouble by trying to cheat the cold, so we probably should be beat by the cold. And dude, it was like brakes and like a car wreck happened. All of us looked at him like, you asshole. And they put us in the water and started surf torturing us.
Well, I'm not going to lie. We were in the same Buds class.
Wait. Hang on.
That didn't happen to me.
Okay, well then you must have
more
gone to
integrity.
bed.
Yeah,
you
I
must
did.
have gone to bed.
Okay, but go ahead, continue. I wanted to let you know that.
Well, I carried you and kept you warm during that Hydro-Recon.
Jesus
So that's probably why. So we're being surf tortured. Like all of us are just miserable, man. And they keep telling us, hey, we're not stopping until somebody quits. It's like 4 p.m. in the afternoon now. And all of a sudden we're all laying there jackhammering together in the surf zone and just miserable. It's gotten to that point where there's no more jokes. Everybody's turned inward and just you're laying in the suck.
Shit got real.
And yeah, there's no more talking. I mean, I think, probably a lot of people were like, dude, I don't know how much longer I can take this.
I'm sure a couple people wanted to kill Gus too.
Oh God. So in the middle of this misery suck fest, the quiet is set in and Kaminsky is in the middle of us and he goes, hey guys. And we're like, what do you want? And he goes, telling the instructors that, if we cheated the cold, so we should be punished by the cold. And we're like, yeah, motherfucker. And he goes, that was a bad idea. And dude, everybody started busting out laughing.
You needed that though.
Oh, dude. And right at that moment, the instructors saw it and they secured us.
And that's
they were like,
that's
you
what
guys
they were
are
looking
done.
for. I'd like to just back up a few seconds before we move on about carrying me through Hell Week and Buds. Ladies and gentlemen,
I kept you warm.
Yeah, I want you to
kept
know something.
warm,
My
like a blanket.
My nipples
Like
are
a
sensitive
blanket.
to this day from all.
Yeah, from my
milk.
blanket keeping you warm.
Because he
My
was
blanket
sucking off
keeping
my
you warm.
teats. Like this.
I
milked Jason
these
Redmond.
Skinny little arms around you.
Look, I'm
and
milking
embraced
myself.
you
I'm
in a
giving you
blanket of warmth.
the nectar of gods. Look at that. Ray Cash Care breast milk.
All
go.
right.
Let's go. Let's get serious.
All right, so we're coming back full circle to Ron Condry. Ron jumped with the leapfrogs, huge skydiver, and traumatic brain injury. And basically, I watched. I used to, working with Wounded Warriors in both Wounded Warrior and the Combat Wounded Coalition, my old organization. I used to believe that if I could help a Wounded Warrior find purpose, a new mission in life, that it would get them past post-traumatic stress. It would allow them to get the new focus and the new course they needed to drive forward in life. And Ron kind of shattered that for me. I realized that wasn't the case. There are some things we can't fix. And because Ron had his purpose, man. He got out of the military, being a big sky god, skydiver, and he got hired with a group called Team Fast Tracks, jumping all across the country. They're like a civilian version of the leapfrog. So jumping into stadiums. Ron was a huge, we call him relative work, RW guy.
Yep.
He could do all kinds of amazing stuff with a canopy, and he was amazing. He would jump flags, like 1,000 square foot flags.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, he was insane. And he used to always jump the flags in for our nonprofit events, our Jumping for a Purpose events. He met a beautiful, beautiful gal, Nicole, who became a skydiver also. He taught her how to jump and do RW. And so here he is. He found his purpose, man. He got out of the military. He's jumping all across country. But despite that whole year, Ron was spiraling down, man.
Yeah, the demons.
Oh, and he would just have these massive highs and then these massive, massive lows. And Nicole had to talk him off the edge several times. I talked him off the edge. He would call me. I tried to get him into different programs I recommended for him, and it wasn't working. And I told Nicole like a year before, I said, I think Ron has something called concussive traumatic encephalitis. It's called CTE, which those of you who may follow the NFL, it is what a lot of our NFL players are getting diagnosed with. Guys like Junior Seau, who had an amazing career. Absolutely. The movie Concussion is about it.
Yep.
So we've lost special operations guys to CTE. A great friend of mine, Dave Collins, Dave, we went through Bud same time.
At his funeral. Yeah.
Dave was amazing. And Dave did the same thing. In 2013, he took his life. And he was diagnosed with CTE and
left a beautiful family behind too. Beautiful family.
Absolutely. And we've had multiple guys now, SEALs, special operations guys, EOD guys who are dying and killing themselves.
Let me ask you a question. Why do you think we can't isolate this, before it's too late? What is your thoughts on this? I mean, I know we both know the answer, but why? I mean, it always seems like, certain people like, operators recognize that there's something wrong. Obviously, operators are alphas. We don't want to do anything about it, or they say nothing's wrong with me. And the next thing you know,
We don't understand it well enough.
There you go. That's what I was looking for.
This is, and I'm glad you brought that
Yeah.
up, because a perfect example is a SEAL from the West Coast, Ryan Larkin, who took his life. And Ryan was a stud. Ryan was a stud. He did 3 deployments. 2 were back to back, and came home, did these deployments, and he was a rock star. Ranked, top of the pile, always the guy that they wanted on board. Well, when he came home after that 3rd deployment, he was struggling, man.
I remember this.
He was struggling with the bottle. He was struggling with discipline problems. And, he kept saying, hey, there's something wrong with me. And they tried to provide some different treatments and counseling. And they said, no, at the end of the day, they're like, it's you. You're the problem.
Yeah.
And so he went down this rabbit hole where they processed him out of the military. They said, hey, man, I'm sorry. You're a problem child. You're not cutting it. And so they put him out of the military, and he took his life. And when he took his life, he left a note that said, there is something wrong with my brain. I want to be autopsied. I want my brain autopsied when you find me.
I remember
and
that.
they did. They autopsied him, and sure enough, he had severe CTE.
And what you guys need to understand is this can be caused, obviously in the NFL, it's from, two machines colliding, but with us, it can be from blast. It can be from, we get head trauma too.
Well, it's total blast for us.
As far as, you can get your head rocked, I've been mortared before where my head's hit something, and, I've seen stars, and you know the deal. You know the deal. You're rocked, your ears are ringing. I mean, it's something that's real. It's in our face, and we have to stop avoiding it. You can't keep pushing this shit off. Jason's doing some great things, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But the thing is if you think there's something wrong with you, don't get me started with the VA. I mean, we can talk about the time that it takes. The problem is this is something that needs to be treated immediately. You cannot be put on a waiting list, but it's so hard to diagnose because
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
We can't right now.
Yeah. What do you see for the future? What do you see for the future of being able to diagnose this, and stop it before the tornado comes?
Well, and I think the tornado is coming. I think we're going to see more. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Warfare has changed drastically since 9/11. You and I know.
Yeah.
We did not use explosives at the level that we did post 9/11 that we did pre 9/11. One of the things was the budget wasn't big enough for us to always blow things up. But post 9/11, we got into where we breached everything. Why? Because it's more efficient. It's faster to breach than to use explosives to breach. So you talk about some of our guys that are breachers out there, and all of us, because we all do it. The military lists, hey, this is the minimum safe distance. Well, we all push it. We all push it, so we're exposing our brains to more blasts, and now you get into combat where we push it even further, and then on top of that, you put the enemy blasts, indirect fire, or IED blasts that guys are being exposed to on an astronomical level in this war. Man, it is a cocktail of brain trauma. And that's why we're seeing so many guys who are coming back, and they're struggling and they're spiraling down, and we don't have any way to diagnose it. So Ron took his life in September of last year, and I was heartbroken. Man. And it made me, I'll be honest, it was one of the reasons I decided, on top of many, that I was going to phase down my organization.
Yeah.
Because I wanted, A, to get out there and help other people more, but B, I wanted to find the organizations that could help guys with this. And it is a two-front war. And so one front is, how do we deal with post-traumatic stress in individuals who are struggling with traumatic brain injury in the moment? Yeah. And there's a lot of studies that are out there that are doing those things. I know Morgan Luttrell and Marcus work with the Boot Campaign, who is also funding they're funding some good programs that are trying to do some work with brain health and brain trauma. I know Morgan is actually getting his degree.
He's a smart cat.
Brain neuroscience, which is awesome. But there's also one of the things is their ability to get psychological help immediately, mental health support immediately. And that's been one of the biggest problems, man. The VA is trying to do the best they can, but man, I tell you what, they're so backlogged, and depending on where you're at, there is a wait. Anywhere from, I've heard 2 weeks, and I've even heard as much as a month when a guy reaches out and he calls the suicide hotline and says, hey, I really need help. and we've got guys that are killing themselves waiting to be seen to get mental health.
This is a TST for you guys that don't understand. That's a time sensitive target. That means time is critical, guys. You know, somebody calls in and they're begging for help, you know, and I couldn't even imagine. Your brain is not doing what you want. You're not acting the way you want. I've heard that people feel like they're actually coming out of their own body. I've heard some horrible things that, I mean, I got goosebumps right now, and it's like, you know, and I love the VA. I'm a supporter of the VA. I love the VA, and I get it. They're undermanned, understaffed, and they've just got too many people with problems. We have got to figure something out, which I think it's something you should talk about. And, you know, maybe we can talk about the brain banks. We can talk about a few other things that I know that are near and dear to you and me. We've got to make a change.
Absolutely. And the Headstrong Project is a group started by veterans who
there we go.
who basically, they were like, you know, there are incredible psychiatrists and psychologists from all across the country. And they ran across, and I see this all the time. I meet doctors, I meet business people who go, hey man, how can I help? But it's too big of a problem sometimes in the moment to think about, man, I don't know. How do I make this happen?
Yeah.
So basically they said, Headstrong Project basically said, how do we create a network where we get the psychologists and psychiatrists that want to help from all across the country, and we have a funnel, a system that if a veteran reaches in and says, hey man, I need help, as long as they're within the area of where they're building this, and they're trying to build it in every major city in the country. They're slowly growing now.
Amen.
That if a veteran reaches out, they will be seen in less than 48 hours.
And that's what we need.
From the time they put in a submission and say, help. So I am a big advocate for the Headstrong Project. I am raising money for them, and I am trying to raise awareness. If you are a veteran and you are struggling, I will tell you right now, I cannot guarantee, depending on where you are. I mean, if you're up in the middle of the Dakotas or Alaska, I can't guarantee that they have the full network,
the resources right now. Yeah.
But they are filling it. And in almost all the major cities, they have people in their network so that they can connect them. So go to Headstrong, getheadstrong.com. You can follow them on Instagram, Get Headstrong, or look up the Headstrong Project. Any of those will get you to them.
And if memory serves me correct, didn't you go to a function a while back and got a donation? Or am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I know it was a
little while
ago.
back. Yeah. QTS Data Centers, big shout out to you guys. Thank you for your support of our veterans and our military. They made a $10,000 donation to Headstrong Project. And it was just fantastic. And that's what we need. They need funding to expand their network. And obviously, they have a staff that is working behind the scenes, behind the phones, behind the computers. When a veteran types in, they have a staff that will immediately get that message so they can start the process so that veteran can be seen in 48 hours. So that's one front of the war that we have to fight. We have to get our guys and gals immediate help. So if you are a veteran, or even you're active duty and you've seen a lot of combat and you're struggling with post-traumatic stress, hey man, it is okay. And you need to get help. Don't try and hide behind this facade of, oh, I'm bigger than that, I'm stronger than that. I know so many guys who have tried to do that and they spiraled down to where they were out of control. A good friend of mine, Jimmy Hatch, if you want to read a good book about somebody that spiraled out of control before they finally needed help, Jimmy had to be committed because he basically tried to do suicide by cop. He was a tier 1 operator, wrote an amazing book. We actually interviewed Jimmy on one of the very first shows.
Amazing
Yeah,
story.
his book is Touching the Dragon.
Yeah.
But hey, don't be that guy. If you can be a tier 1 operator, you can be a Navy SEAL or special operations guy and say, hey, guess what? I've got some demons that are clawing away at my brain. You can get help. So Headstrong Project is one of them. Please refer people to them. Second front of the war is research.
Yeah.
One of the problems with blast-related CTE, which is exactly what our veterans are sustaining, what they're finding, you can't diagnose it while somebody's still alive. So just like I told Ron's wife, I think Ron has CTE, just because of how he was spiraling, it wasn't until after he passed away that they were able to autopsy his, or after he took his life, that we were able to autopsy his brain. And the problem is there is not enough brains. There are brain banks. I think there's about 3 in the country. And they don't have enough veteran brains, and they definitely don't have enough combat veteran brains. So I'm on a national push. If you are a combat veteran, I want you. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, they need to hear it. I know what you're going to say.
I want you.